Hello, trading is closed on October 28th, 2020. We'll do our disclaimer and then go over our calls. This is my trading plan for tomorrow, October 29th, 2020. Can't guarantee it's the right plan. Trade at your own risk. If you need to contact me, it's MEJT.trades@gmail.com. Looked for a drop today, which turned out to be an understatement. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is what we got. And tomorrow also has the early high. Just to review, we said we had a pattern with the early high, negative, final hour low, and look for lower prices. Well, it's always good when you get to cross some old MEJT targets off the list. We had targets over a month old around 32.70. These aren't just price targets, they're also support resistance levels. And you can see how we stopped right at the target. Kind of an amazing thing. It does pay, I believe, to keep track of these other targets going back to July. When and if these prices print, I would look for support at and just under these prices. We had a big drop, held it all day long, then right at the end when all the professional traders went home, we had a wall of selling into the close. I interpret this as retail customers saying, get me out at any price. No pullbacks. Only one willing to buy are the people who have to buy, who are the specialists. And if I'm reading this right, they'll get their money back and a lot more and very quickly, typically by gapping up smartly at tomorrow's open. If I'm right, that's what I think will happen. That gap up isn't going to hold. It doesn't mean you won't have a good rally first. During the day as we were dropping, MEJT said ultimately higher price it would print. We got a decent rally. MEJT also said it was false and would retrace, which it did. It's time to look at this TDST line from Tom DeMark. Support is a bar under the line. That's where we are. So we're at support based on his methodology. We're also under the lower Bollinger Band. It isn't a buy signal by itself, but it is a sign that you're oversold. And it's not a place from which a huge collapse usually begins. More likely, but not guaranteed, is reverting to the mean. Also remember the largest point move of a drop very often happens on the last day of the drop. Well, we've been looking for this wave blue sea forever, for weeks or months. I think we're finally in it, but we still aren't seeing the kind of decline to make it comparable to wave A. I think there's a good chance we've completed wave magenta A of blue C. If you count black A of magenta A as ending here, you get a nice 78.6% fib measurement at today's low. To make that work, you have to recount waves ABC of magenta A. Well, there probably is more than one way to do it. I have ABC to make A of magenta A here. I have A, B, C to make B of magenta A here. The important one is the wave we're in now. It's possible to count A, B, and C of magenta A and wave C of of C of magenta A ends with a clear 5 waves down. Doesn't mean the 5th wave has to end here, but you've got great fibs if it does. There's also support, not just from the mark stuff and the MEJT stuff. We'll come to it in just a minute. This is just to point out we broke a trend line. Should be resistance here. You need to confirm this by trading under today's close by 1 cent. That doesn't have to happen tomorrow. But the more trend lines you break, the more likely it's the real thing as far as the drop is concerned. Well, here's another trend line. You can see all these hits. It's also right at 23.6% retracement of this rally leg. So it's easy to see that you have good support right at today's low. And as a rule, if you're going to break support from this pattern, you have to gap under it. So if we don't gap under today's low tomorrow morning, I'm looking for higher prices. We have a volume spike on the E-mini contract. This tends to happen very close in time to lows in the contract. So it's some more evidence we could have hit a very good low today, at least over the short term. Tomorrow's pattern has a really high, doesn't mean you won't gap down. We have considerable support at today's low. If we don't gap under it smartly, I think we'll see higher prices tomorrow. We have a wall into the close, a late break under a consolidation which lasted hours. It's often a sign of retail traders capitulating. If that's what it is, we'll know at the open because we should gap up sharply. The NASDAQ McClellan oscillator is well under its lower Bollinger Band. The volatility index is well over its upper one. They haven't reversed yet, but once they do and go through the band, that signals a change in trend. The decline counts well as wave A, magenta A, a blue C down. Accordingly, I think any rally here is going to fail, most likely topping on Monday based on someone else's work. If that's right, there should be then a significant drop, wave magenta C, a blue C, taking us to much lower prices. If that happens, we then begin a position for the ABC correction to be over and the new rally to start, but that's really quite speculative at this point. I won't be around for trading Monday. You have personal business. Looking for a gap up and a rally day tomorrow. If we're wrong, we'll know right at the open. Tomorrow has the early high. I think we could rally a few more days, Thursday, Friday, Monday. But after that rally's over, a big drop should begin. And that's today's call.